So my name is Kenny Jacobs. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer of Ryanair. I'm responsible for sales, marketing and the customer experience at Ryanair, and I'm delighted to be here today to talk to you. I'll spend about 20 minutes going through some slides and then I'm more than happy to take questions at the end because I think they make for a much more interesting conversation, and we'll answer whatever you want to ask me. I will talk a bit about Ryanair because not everyone knows I guess the size of Ryanair across Europe. We are Europe's biggest airline, and I would say favourite airline because we have the highest number of passengers. This year we will carry about 87 million customers across Europe. Last year that number was about 81.7 million. We have 1,600 routes, which is a great asset of the brand. We have the widest choice for customers across Europe. If you take EasyJet, for example, they would have just under 600 routes. So we cover more of the map of Europe than any other airline in terms of the places that we fly to. Today we have 304 aircraft. We have an order for the next 5 years of another 180 aircraft. And then for the 5 years after that, we have an order of 200 aircraft. So that is another 380 aircraft on the way in the next 10 years. 30 markets across Europe, 69 big bases like the one near here in Stansted, operating across 186 airports, and our 304 aircraft. That is the newest aircraft fleet in the world, with the highest number of aircraft under 5 years. So we're big, we've got the best coverage, we've got the youngest fleet. That youngest fleet uses the least amount of fuel. We have got 14% of the market in Europe, so it's a very fragmented market when the number one has 14%. There will be consolidation at the top end over the next 5 to 10 years, so you would expect some legacy carriers that we know today will not exist between 5 and 10 years' time. And you will also expect some consolidation at the lower end. That probably means that BA will always be in existence, but brands like TAP in Portugal, Iberia in Spain, potentially not. And even then at the middle and lower end, brands like Monarch here in the UK are currently trying to find a new owner because they are struggling. This is our market share across Europe. So you can see here in the UK, we've got 16% of the market share in the UK. We're the third biggest airline in the UK. We're the number one in Spain, the number one in Italy, the number one in the Republic of Ireland, Belgium and Poland. And we're the number two in Portugal, Morocco, and number three in France, UK and Germany. Our ambition obviously is to be the number one in nearly all of these markets. If you take the UK, we operate 12 bases and 16 airports, 429 routes. This year we will carry 32 million customers in the UK. So if you take British Airways this year will carry 39 million customers, short haul and long haul. So everywhere from Glasgow to Heathrow, from Heathrow to New York, BA is 39 million. So if Ryanair UK was a separate company, it is today currently a tenth the size of British Airways. Our UK customers will save 3.7 billion euros by choosing Ryanair this year. And since we've operated here in the UK, we've carried just short of 350 million people. This is the kind of the growth curve over the next 10 years. So with that aircraft order, we'll get to an airline the size of about 150 to 160 million passengers in 10 years' time. The biggest airline in the world today is Delta with 120 million. This year we expect to become the 5th biggest airline in the world as we get north of 87 million customers. We've been changing a lot. We are the most searched for brand in UK Hitwise data, so we're the most searched for airline, and in the past 12 months we've had a 30% improvement in our YouGov brand index scores. We still have a lot more to do to keep the improvement going, but in 12 months we've made remarkable progress in terms of the brand sentiment and what people say in terms of would I fly Ryanair, would I recommend Ryanair, and we've had a fantastic year so far in terms of load factors, which is the percentage of the aircraft filled, and in terms of future bookings. So new Ryanair is working for customers. What is the centre of gravity of Ryanair? It is low cost, because low cost drives low fares, and this is the most powerful thing in our business. The average fare a Ryanair customer paid last year was 46 euros. The maths behind this are very, very simple and transparent. You just take out the annual report of every airline, look at the total revenue divided by the total number of passengers, and you get what the average passenger paid for their fare. The average Ryanair passenger paid 46 euros. The average BA, which is IAG, is 242. The average EasyJet is 84 euros. So the average fare across Europe is 163. Our average fare is 46. When you multiply last year's 81.7 million customers by that the difference between those two numbers, you get 10 billion in savings. And that's what drives us at Ryanair. The core purpose we have is keep the costs down. That keeps fares down. You keep fares down, you allow everyday European people to make a big saving compared on what they would have paid for travel. We have an 80% cost advantage next to our nearest competitor, and we have what I would describe as a fare advantage that is inassailable. But we're changing. This used to be Ryanair. We were always a bit of a fun brand. We didn't take ourselves too seriously. A very authentic brand. Ryanair, sometimes outspoken, maybe sometimes a little too far, but always calling out bad things, calling out things that needed to change in an industry. And Ryanair's 30 years old next year, but if you go back 25 years in European air travel, you know, people were paying £400 sterling to go on a 50-minute flight from Dublin to London, as I did last night. This was not something that everyday people could afford to do. So as the first low-cost airline and still the biggest low-cost airline in Europe, we're very proud of the fact that we've actually made flying across Europe on a short-haul basis affordable to everyday people. Because not so long ago, as in 25 years ago, that was not the case. But we were a brand that needed to evolve. You know, we had quite a lot of inconsistency. It didn't look and feel the same across 30 markets. We missed a lot on digital. We didn't use the customer data that we have. So this is what I would describe as Ryanair before, and now this is new Ryanair. You know, we are a lot nicer. We are more than nice. We're a lot smarter in terms of what we're doing and what we're planning to do next. We've launched an app because customers have gone mobile. That was one of the things that we've missed. We've now had about 4 million installs of the new app. We're working hard to keep that app, you know, getting better for our customers. It's better on iPhone than it is on Android, but we're taking a huge amount of bookings from that app that allows customers to find a flight, book a flight, get through airport security and actually board a flight without a piece of paper. We've launched 2 new versions of our website, and every week we have new things going live on our website, and you can expect to see a lot more in this space. And we've started a brand conversation across Europe, a brand conversation that allows us to talk about everyday low fares and allows us to talk about new brand initiatives like Ryanair Business Plus, Ryanair Family Extra, and there'll be a lot more to come in this space. So we're having a much more consistent, considered, integrated, better looking conversation with our customers, describing what we're about, because you know what, we are about the lowest fares in Europe. And that's what people want, because that's why we've become number one. You don't get to be number one unless you give people what they're looking for. My job is simply to make us as likable as we have been useful in our 29 years. Brands that I'm very happy to be compared with are brands like Aldi, H&M and IKEA. If you take Aldi, which is the fastest growing retailer in the UK with about 30% growth in a market that's flat for the past 5 years, they've done that because people here used to call them the German retailers. It was the German discounters. It's where you went when you had to. But now here in Kensington, there's an Aldi that will do a roaring trade this Christmas. So Aldi have done a great job of standing for one thing, which was we guarantee we will give you the lowest prices for your food. They've significantly improved the quality of that experience. They brought in brands where they need to bring in brands. They brought in a fantastic British fresh food range because that matters to British customers. And they've really improved that customer experience. And if you look at the ads this Christmas from the supermarkets and you look at the ads from Lidl and Aldi, you could probably optically not tell a lot between them in terms of who's conveying what quality this Christmas. So I want to make us a brand that stands for 3 things. Always, yes, Ryanair is where I go to get the lowest fares for short-haul, straightforward travel in Europe. But Ryanair also has the best choice of destinations. It has a choice of flexible products. So if I'm traveling on business to Madrid and I need a flexible ticket because the day of the meeting might change, they've got Business Plus. And if I'm traveling to Lanzarote with a family at half term, they've got Ryanair Family Extra, which gives me some bundled extras for my family. And Ryanair is relentless at improving the customer experience, from the website to the app to that airport experience to that in-flight experience. This is my plan on a page. So the vision is to become Europe's leading travel experience. The 3 brand pillars I've already spoken about: the lowest fares, great service and the best choice of routes, and a relentless pursuit of a great customer experience. These are the activities from listening more to customers, reaffirming what we stand for, getting the right organization in place, broadening the appeal of the brand, making the product more accessible, constant innovation on mobile, innovation with Google, content and partnerships, and then adding new capacity, which is new aircraft, new bases, and new routes, because we are a big operation. The measures of success are bookings and load factors, visits and conversion rates to the website, the percentage margin we make on customers, or market share, or retention rates, and brand perception. All very, very straightforward stuff. We've had a very, very strong summer. Strong summer meaning in the month of August we carried 9.5 million customers across Europe with a load factor of 94%. Which is better than we've ever had. So new Ryanair is working very well. That means more people traveling with us. That means aircraft that are filled more often. This is the plan that we've launched inside the business this time last year, and now we use it to describe what we're doing outside the business. So this is in a way becoming our core value, always getting better. And we didn't have one before. And it's interesting how now everyone in the business is, everything is in the pursuit of what is this making things better for customers. So the Always Getting Better program has 5 pillars. Fix the things that customers don't like, improve the travel experience, improve the digital experience, develop the offer, and improve the brand and marketing. This is those same 5 pillars with what we've done so far. So on fixing the things customers don't like, Ryanair was famous for some things that created more noise than they actually did angst for customers. But this time last year, we changed a lot of the policies that if you got to Stansted and you hadn't checked in or you hadn't printed off your boarding pass, you were charged a higher fee. We've now brought things like those fees down. We've introduced allocated seating because a lot of customers have said to us, I like to fly at the front, the back, or the left or the right. And now customers can pick their own chair. This is an example of a type of ancillary that customers are more than happy to pay for because they just want to know. Some people want to know, I want that seat. Some people don't care. If you don't care, you will always get allocated a seat. Most significantly and simply, we've introduced a second carry-on bag for free. So I think everyone who's flown Ryanair would have known that familiar scene if you're coming back from Barcelona for a city break of a lot of customers trying to fit a small second bag into a bigger bag while someone from Ryanair goes up and down the queue, which was a piece of equipment called a baggage sizer, to see did your bag fit and would you have to pay. We've changed that and it's made a remarkable difference to the boarding experience, to the in-flight experience. Our crew are very happy with that and our customers are very happy with that. So we've introduced quiet flights. As I said, we've cut fees, allocated seating, and now you can use any piece of electronic equipment on board throughout the flight like other airlines. So a lot of these are very simple things. As I said, on Better Digital, we've launched the website. We've introduced My Ryanair, which is a customer registration, which so far allows you to tell us who you are, how you pay, and we will expand this in time. And we've launched 2 versions of our app, and you'll see now constant innovation in the digital space from Ryanair. A simple thing, we're announcing our schedule sooner. We now have our summer schedule for 2015 on sale in the UK, and bookings are going fantastically well. We used not launch that previously until around the end of December and January, which is quite late, because people pre-Christmas like to think about, are we going to go back to Lanzarote or are we going to go someplace else this year? And having that out earlier makes a big, big difference. And we're significantly moving to more primary airports. At the moment, we would say there's only 3 airports we don't see ourselves operating out of: Heathrow, Frankfurt and Charles de Gaulle, but every other airport is now a possibility. In the next 5 years, about 50% of our growth will be to and from primary airports. So 2 years ago, people would have said Ryanair will never be at Madrid main airport, Barcelona main airport, Brussels main airport, Athens, Lisbon, and we now are. We're now operating out of Glasgow International in downtown Glasgow, as well as Prestwick. We're doing the same thing in Brussels, and we will have this model that will work across Europe. So I'll quickly skip through this one. Yes, we've done a lot to improve the customer experience. Yes, I would say it's working because the proof is in the bookings. And yes, we've done a lot to improve the digital experience, and the proof of that is in a fantastic conversion rate year on year compared to previous years. In terms of distribution of the product, we've significantly gone back on what are called the GDS network, so that's Travelport and Amadeus so far. So the Ryanair fares and the Ryanair Business Plus fares are now accessible to people booking corporate travel. So if you're working in a business, you'll generally be using a travel company. That travel company is going to be using one of their travel systems. And we've launched Ryanair Business Plus. This is not business class. This, for me, is the difference between Business Plus versus Business Fuss. Business Fuss is traditional business class travel with the blue curtains, the free glass of Prosecco, the bad peanuts, a business lounge, and it generally means places like Heathrow, long delays, etc., etc. This is for savvy, smart business travelers. You will get a fully flexible ticket here in the UK from 59 quid, and that will allow you to change the ticket. It'll allow you to get fast track through airports, extended baggage allowance, and first on and off the aircraft. When we talk to business customers, that's the main things they're looking for. So we want to actually give a product that is the things most customers want, not the traditional things of business class, because we don't believe in traditional business class. So I've talked about that one. I've kind of talked about the better brand. Yeah, we started the conversation back in March and April with these slightly self-effacing ads. I've played 2 there at the start, which is a bit of a mea culpa that, yeah, we needed to make some changes, but who would have thought you're now boarding a Ryanair aircraft with 2 bags, and who would have thought that you're on the Ryanair website and it's hassle and stress-free. This autumn we've communicated our everyday low fares at $19.99, and this is a current brand campaign that's running across 10 countries in Europe. So it's interesting, and I think people are interested in, wow, Ryanair's advertising properly for the first time. We're doing a huge amount of digital display, we're doing a huge amount of TV, radio, some print and some outdoor. The campaign here in the UK has been a phenomenal success, as in it's driven a higher number of visits, and that's driving a bookings number and a conversion number that we've never seen before. So really, really fantastic interest. I think when you haven't communicated as a brand this way before, there's always a huge amount of interest. There is an incredible amount of interest in Ryanair anyway. Yes, the Daily Mail hate us, but that's fine because the Daily Mail is not everyone's cup of tea. But there is, you know, it's one of those brands. I find consumers are very interested in airlines because I think people are still fascinated by travel. You get to go airports, you see aircraft, you see guys and girls in uniforms. It's quite a sexy business in some ways, but consumers are fascinated with travel, therefore consumers are fascinated with airlines. For me as a marketeer, having worked in the finance, having worked more in retail, it's probably the most interesting category that I've worked in from a brand point of view, because people love to travel, whether that's on business or on leisure. In terms of the customer experience, we now have a big map, and I have this mapped out with all the phases in my office that looks at the discovery phase, the day of travel, at the destination, the return, and then the post-trip elements of the customer experience. We've made fantastic progress in the discovery phase with the new website, with the new app. We've made good improved progress on the day of travel with things like the second carry-on bag, better experience at the airport. We have a lot more to do, and I don't think we'll ever get there, because in an operation this big, with so many moving parts, you know, there's geopolitical considerations. There is the weather coming into Gatwick last night was horrendous, and you have so many variables because you are moving people in the air from one landmass to another landmass. So it's a big customer experience to get right at all times. But you will get from Ryanair a relentless pursuit of improving that customer experience, and it's working. What does the future hold? A couple of things to call out before I kind of take questions. Legacy carriers will continue to decline and will focus on long haul. That is not a fundamentally wow statement. That's been happening for the past 10 years. That's going to happen for the next 10 years. Malev in Hungary is gone. Others will fall over. BA will always exist, but BA will get much smaller at short haul, and it will focus more on long haul. Lufthansa will do the same, and the penetration of low-cost airlines across Europe will significantly accelerate. No consumer in Europe gets it more than the UK consumer, where there is 60% penetration of low-cost airlines. So 60% of the traffic in and out of the UK is already on a low-cost carrier. So it will dominate. We will dominate it the most because, simply put, we're improving the experience. That's increasing demand for flying with Ryanair, and we've got a huge aircraft order coming. We will find great things to do with that aircraft, from sending them to the Eastern Mediterranean, to growing here in the UK, to probably being able to quadruple the size of the business in Germany and Scandinavia, and never mind mention going to Russia. The category will continue to get smarter on data and digital. I think as a retailer looking at the airline business, it's not that great at data and digital. I think BA have done a very good job of creating the BA brand, and it's tradition for me. It's very much offline advertising led. Virgin have done a similar job. Lufthansa have done a similar job. But you actually get into digital marketing, look at what they do with the websites, look at how they try and retain customers. I don't think they've done that good a job. Everyone is a loyalty scheme, but I don't think they're using the data asset they have that well. As I said, those with the aircraft will win, and Ryanair, we will now really work hard for our customers. Always keep costs down, and we will be very cost focused, but we will have the best fares. And if you have the best fares, you give a good experience, and you've got the best choice of destinations, the rest will look after itself. So that's it for me. Tickets are now on sale at $19.99, and the weather's not great at the moment, so if you do feel like heading to Barcelona, Spain, or somewhere in Italy, it's a good time to buy. The further you book in advance, trust me, you do get the best fares. Okay, so that was me. As I said, I'm more than happy to take any questions you have. Yeah.
There's a mic coming over.
I was really interested when you were talking about better service. You talked about things like second bag coming on for free, etc. I was wondering how your strategy in terms of constantly always getting better translates to your flight attendants, for example, the face of your brand.
Yeah, we are. It's a key part of the experience. So it's the day of travel. So we are in 2 weeks' time. We start the first Always Getting Better training program for flight attendants, where we're starting with what we call the fire starters, which are the number ones, who's the lead flight attendant on a cruise. So we'll start the process of putting them through a 3-day training program, which is these are all the new parts of the experience that we'd like to make better. This is your role in that. So they play a central role because it's where the rubber hits the road in terms of your actual in-flight experience. They love the changes that we've made because it makes their life a lot easier. There's not too many people in the world say, oh, I really miss going up and down the queue with the baggage sizer. It was a great part of my day. So they really appreciate new Ryanair. So yes, they're a key part of the process. And also inside that aircraft, between what the inside of that aircraft looks like, maybe the amount of yellow will be toned down, and also what we dress our crew in are the kind of things that we're looking at, so that optically it feels like a different environment when you're inside that aircraft.
Hi, Grant Alloway from Answer One. Can I just ask, if you'd have done the research and it would have said by staying old Ryanair, mean and moody, you would have continued to grow, would you have made these new changes into nice Ryanair, or do you think the old attitude had just kind of run its course and it was time for a change?
Well, old Ryanair would have continued to grow because it kind of got to be number one by being Ryanair, what we now call old Ryanair. In terms of growing, not in just an acquisition, new territories, new bases kind of way. We want to grow through retention. So we want to keep the same people coming back again and again. So I think to grow in a smarter and sustained way that delivers better results for shareholders and a better business for customers and for people working in the business, we needed to grow this way. I think the airline did a fantastic job of growing very quickly, being very single-minded on fares and a straightforward service. But a lot has changed for customers around the world. You know, there was a time when people would say, the fares are that good, I will just simply go home and book. But now people would be in the back of a cab in London and say, no, I want to book a flight right now. I want to check in right now. So mobile has changed things fundamentally. Also the penetration of low-cost travel has changed things. The high-cost carriers are trying to look like a low-cost carrier. So the market's changed, more significantly consumers have changed. We want to move to a model that's more, you know, better balance between acquisition, conversion and retention, but really trying to get the same people flying again and again and again. And we want to get a higher yielding business traveller. So therefore we needed to make the changes. There's still a bit of nostalgia. I do actually get customers going, yeah, but you'll still be pricks from time to time, won't you? So I think there is a bit of nostalgia about old Ryanair because, yeah, it was rough around the edges, but I think people really like that authenticity, and that's one of the key things I'm keen to keep in the brand. That Ryanair will always have a point of view that anything high cost in this world we think is bullshit, especially air travel. So we'll keep our fares down. We want to stay a very authentic brand because I don't think there's a huge amount of authentic brands out there. So I'm not planning to run the usual type of airline ads that it's all about the destination. Here's the wonderful looking white family somewhere in a beach in Spain and they got there by Ryanair. You will never see that from us because I think people are smart enough to see through that, and we don't believe in that. We don't believe in that style. Yeah.
Obviously, big advances in terms of your sort of digital presence and the website's user experience. What technologies and what processes do you have to sort of determine your roadmap of customer experience improvements online?
What technologies are we using?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, the website, just to mention one number on the website gets 1.5 billion visits a year. So I think after eBay and Amazon, we're the third most visited commerce site in Europe. The back end of it is Navitaire, which is a kind of a back end airline system that a lot of people use. We have the front end on that, so what I would call the kind of the retail ecosystem between the front end content management system. That's all developed in-house at the moment. Data is in a Hadoop environment. So we will next year probably re-platform onto something fairly big as a kind of a front end experience solution. So we will kind of look at everything from the, Adobe AEM to something like Sitecore to say how does that sit on the new Navitaire platform next year. And then on the data side, we'll kind of put probably a campaign and a kind of an insight platform separately that kind of draws from the Hadoop. So the way I would see it is kind of back end is the back end that most airlines use. Front end is the retail kind of marketing environment that we want to build out. That would be the kind of the experience layer. There we'll drop in content management, social, everything else that we want to do, and have that in a way that it can replicate in 18 different languages across Europe. And then alongside have a big data piece. So we've just hired, a CTO has joined the business for the first time, and we're now kind of saying what's the right sequence of things that we want to build going forward. We do that in Ryanair Labs, so Ryanair Labs is kind of a 50-50 separate, so I've an office in Ryanair and then I kind of go across to Ryanair Labs, and that's kind of where our technology and our digital marketing, or digital experience and our insight and CRM team all sit together working on things in an agile way, which is different, I don't think any other airline does it that well. So we haven't, we're not tied to things, so we can just start them fresh. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about your perception of Skyscanner and how you see your relationship with them in terms of how much importance you attribute to them?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good product, and I think they give a really good experience. So they do what they do. We don't have a commercial arrangement with them, so they will simply, people will, if you take OTAs, not all OTAs are the same. I think Skyscanner generally do a good job. They give people the right fares. They are Skyscanner. They are the brand. They're good at what they do. Some OTAs we do have a problem with because they try to dupe customers in a lookalike website that looks like our website. Customers then book a fare thinking they've booked through Ryanair, but they booked through a third party who then is through the back door booking that with us. But if anything changes with that flight, as can sometimes happen, the customer's like, well, I thought I had booked through Ryanair. So there's a few examples of that across Europe, which we're currently taking legal means to try and shut those down, because that's just a bad experience. And we would say to Google, you shouldn't really be letting these guys pay for PP, just because they're spending on PPC with you, don't let them have a lookalike website that takes money from customers, and those customers thinking they're getting a Ryanair flight, because it's just a bad experience. So those type of OTAs we don't like. I think all the others do want to work with us and would say to me, oh yeah, well, I'll send you all this traffic for this price. And I'm like, I don't need it. We are a brand that, with 1.5 billion visits, I don't need an OTA, a good one or a bad one, to send us traffic. We'll do a very good job of that ourselves. I think if I was an OTA, I would say beware of Google, because you're spending a lot of money with them, but they probably have good plans in your own space. And mobile is changing that for everyone. If I get people to download the Ryanair app because they're a regular Ryanair customer, you're never going to use search in that mix again.
Could I ask a question?
Yeah.
So you've already described how EasyJet's kind of slowly becoming what it always really was, which is kind of BA short haul service. Obviously its heritage is exactly that. And in that sense, they're kind of slightly losing their kind of proposition of what they become famous for. And you're seeking to do a similar thing, somehow stay low cost, but also added value. My question is, usually when you add value, costs go up. What are the kind of specific pillars that you're using to avoid that? It sounds like on one side, it's about using tech to add value, but without kind of massive increased overheads. The other side sounds like more business and more scale, or more different travellers, so more business travellers.
Well, it's a very good list. It is essentially those things. I mean, I think EasyJet are doing a very good job. Yes, I think there is high cost legacy carriers. There is ultra low cost, which is Ryanair, and then there's kind of several versions of what's in the middle. EasyJet have done a good job on digital. They've done a good job in certain key markets. So they're big here in the UK. They're big in France and big in Switzerland. But the things you've listed are some of the key things. I mean, it kind of depends on the shape of your P&L and balance sheet in terms of what cost you're able to strip out. We have a scale advantage over EasyJet. Coming to technology late can be very advantageous because you're not wedded to any big legacy systems, and I think it now means you can generally do it quicker and do it at a significantly reduced cost. So that's a big advantage that we have. EasyJet are spending here in the UK alone about 25 million sterling on advertising. We don't need to. So you know, above the line spend, it's quite hard to get off it once you start it. And we've come to that late, so I can kind of pick and choose where I'm going to spend money. But I'm not saying, right, I spent 25 million sterling in the UK last year, I have to spend it this year or there's going to be a drop in traffic. So that's kind of some of the differences which give us a cost advantage.
First of all, thank you for a very interesting conversation, and what you do seems very impressive. What I wanted to ask is, Ryanair is a brand that's been around for quite a long time, and not all the associations with this brand are positive. And it's especially true for a sector like yours, the travel. All the changes that you showed us look incremental. Are you planning also to revolutionize the brand and the brand image at some point, or you think that incremental changes will get you to where you want to be?
Yeah, I do. I think these are this is an incredibly large number of very significant, big enough incremental changes. I think add those up, and it's quite a revolutionary pivot the brand has gone on in the past 12 months. I think, again, judging that by the numbers that we see. So I think a revolutionary change would have been the wrong thing to do, because it would have been a big ta-da, we're now nicer. We are an experience brand. So the best way to prove to customers that we are now serious about giving a better experience is every single flight, every single day, every single time you visit the website. That's what it's about. So I'd much rather that approach rather than spending a huge amount of money on a big brand conversation that described us being different. I'd rather first prove we are different, and then have the advertising and the actual experience change be in sync. So I think this year's you'll never see an airline change as much so quickly. I think going forward, all of the things that we've done and said in the past, it's amazing in an experience business how quickly these things get forgotten. Yeah, you can Google us and you'll find some interesting pictures and some interesting articles, but you get those about every airline. You get those about every business of this size that is in the business of moving people around Europe. So I think the good news going out, that's genuine good news, and the amount of customers who have good experiences and share that with each other is going to be, you know, in 2 years' time, people say, yeah, do you remember when Ryanair used to be kind of, always had the cheapest fares, but was a little bit nasty. What I want it to be is, yeah, Ryanair, now even cheaper than they used to be, but a lot nicer and a lot smarter. Okay.
Okay, Kenny, thank you very much.
Thanks very much.